practice is booked solid. Revenue looks great. So, why does the whole thing seize up the second you take a day off? If the answer is because nothing moves without me, then you don't own a business. You own the highest paying job you'll never be able to sell. Welcome back to the Business of Aesthetics podcast. I'm your host, Angie, and today we're talking about something a lot of owners quietly struggle with. That is the operator trap. So, to help us break this down, we're joined by Mike de Jong. Am I saying that right? Mike de Jong.
Yes, ma'am.
To help us break this down, we're joined by Mike de Jong. Mike is the author of Grow Smart and Freedom, Mastering the Mindset of Ownership, a multi-unit franchise owner, turnaround expert, and Tony Robbins' platinum partner. He's built 4 businesses from zero, profitably exited 6, and helped turn around several others that were circling the drain, which honestly makes him one of the few people qualified to tell you exactly what kind of leader you really are. So today we're talking about the operate trap, the 3 types of business leaders, why owner dependence is especially brutal in aesthetics, and how to build a practice that's actually worth something the day you decide to walk away. This episode is brought to you by Equa Marketing. All right, let's get into the conversation.
I
So,
am looking forward to it.
of course, amazing. So let's start with a diagnostic everyone listening is probably doing on themselves right now. So when you sit across from a business owner and you're figuring out whether they're an owner, an operator, or a hostage, what's usually the first step?
I asked them when's the last time they took a vacation. And then most of them have taken a vacation. Then I asked them the last time they took a vacation, left their laptop and their phone at home and or left it off.
Yeah.
And usually they go pale. And they're like, that's impossible. I run a business. I have to be in touch with people. And that's when I start the conversation that they might actually be an operator, not an owner. They might own the business, but they're operating it. And it's maybe holding on to them a little bit too tight.
Yeah. Okay, so that's how you spot it across any business. But I want to zero in on aesthetics for a second because I think this industry has a version of the problem that's even harder. Because mostly because of who the owner usually is in the room. So the owner is usually the top injector, the face of the brand, and the person patients are booking by name. So, walk me through why being the actual clinical product makes the hostage trap even harder to escape.
Well, not you, but the average aesthetics owner, guess I could use the broad you, has set themselves up to be in that spot. So most business owners in this area, in most areas actually, but it's particularly in this area, they work really hard. They were probably doing it for someone else, and they're like, I could do this myself. And I'm going to go and take care of this and make more money. And I'm not going to make all those silly mistakes that the other owners were making. And they found that more hours in the day and more days of the week, the more money they make and the better the business is. And that works right up until it doesn't because there's only 168 hours in the week. And people don't want to come and see you usually at 1 o'clock in the morning. So, there's only so many hours of the day that people actually want to show up. So they kind
Yeah.
of they built a gilded cage. The money's coming in, but it's reliant upon them.
Mhm.
And this has to do with most people in the aesthetics field are I call them the GSD type of leader. The get stuff done. We'll keep it PG
Yeah.
versus the other 2 types of leaders that I like to talk about, which are the architect or the hunter. Um,
Yeah. All
I'm
right.
thinking you want me to elaborate there. I don't know.
Would you mind elaborating a
I
bit?
I'd be happy to. I just find sometimes I ramble on and I should just pause for a minute and let the host have a chance to to
Yeah,
ask a
no problem.
question.
Just talk as
I
much
just
as
get
you
so excited. I'm so passionate about this, Angie. It's just
Yeah, of
insane.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Elaborate, talk as much as you want. You've got 1 hour. We have plenty of time.
Wonderful. I'm excited. Ooh. So the three like there's thousands of labels for business leaders. You have your charismatic leader and your dynamic leader and your bureaucratic leader and like there's just it goes on forever. But all of them in business fall into three categories, including the aesthetics business. And those are your GSD, your get stuff done leader, your architect, and your hunter. And your GSD leader is just what it sounds like. They are used to getting stuff done. If a task needs done, they do it. If something's in their way, they move it, they go around it, they go over it, they go through it, they go under it, whatever it takes. They're just committed to getting to the end result, and that makes them very successful uh, for a while. The other two types, the architect, those are people that love building systems. They're not so great at actually executing on those systems, but they really are good at putting them all together. And that's probably 10%-ish of the workforce, 10%. And then you have, I call it the hunters. Those are the people that are not just that love the marketing and love the advertising, they also love the next idea. Like what's the next big thing? Maybe not even in aesthetics that they can go work on because like they heard from their neighbor that's doing this cool thing over here and oh that sounds pretty cool and I want to go work on that too. Um, but we'll focus on the GSD person for today because that's most of your listeners. Um, so they're in this trap. They're working all the hours. They're working 100 hours a week, 120 hours a week. Remember, it's only 168. You got to sleep during some of them. You probably have to bathe because you're dealing with the public, so maybe spend a little time there, eat a
Yeah.
little bit. Maybe you don't need to see your family, but maybe you do. I don't know. So
Yeah.
yeah, so you built this gilded cage and you're stuck. It's like you said, you're the one in the room. You're the one that people are coming to see. You're the brand that's been built. But there is a way out.
Okay. And what is the way?
What is the way? So it's building systems around and processes around everything you do. So it doesn't have to be you. Your face, the moneymaker, can
Yeah.
still be can still be like I don't have a face for aesthetics. I could use a lot of aesthetics, but I don't have a face for aesthetics. Um, you, on the other hand, in your audience, I'm sure, all very like you're the face of the business.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you have to be the one doing everything. And I see this in all sorts of healthcare professionals, veterinarians, eye doctors. Like there's just people I've worked with in this area, and they really believe that they are like everything needs to be around them. And there's so many other tasks in the process that could be handed off if you have a policy and a procedure around it. And it doesn't have to be like and I've seen it done badly. I want to be very clear, Angie. I've seen it done badly where, you know, you walk into a room and you sit down with someone and they ask you with a clipboard, "Can you tell me why you're here? Can you tell me what your biggest problem is?" Like it's just this rote robotic stuff.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking
Yeah.
about finding the right people or training the people you have
Mhm.
in doing some of these consultations, and then you parachute in. You meet with the person. Maybe it's at the beginning, maybe it's at the end, maybe it's at both times. Hi, I'm Angie. Mike's going to do a great assessment for you. He's actually really like so much better at it than I am. Really gets into the details. I'll be back at the end to look at it. Have a great day. Out you
Yeah.
go. The person's doing the assessment. You can see how you get more people through this way. And I know
Yeah.
some people do this, but I don't think they do it very well.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a lot of stuff that can be done under supervision, but not direct supervision, right? So it doesn't have to be Angie doing every injection. It doesn't have to be Angie doing every little piece.
Yeah.
So it comes to training, trusting. This is the big part, trusting and believing in your people. But before any of that happens, it's building the SOPs around it.
Yeah.
If you're asking your people to provide a consistent service and a consistent product at a very high level every single time, you have to set them up to win. You have to give them all of the tools, all of the decision trees that you know automatically in your head It has to be written down because so many times I see, I have a dear friend that just moved from just outside of Tampa, Florida, up to Cleveland and is restarting her clinic up there actually, Dr. Sasha, and she's like, I'm rebuilding it completely different this time because she was like just stuck. And we had some conversation. I called her before I gave on this podcast just to ask her some ideas and what was going on and what, what's going on in the field, etc. But she's like, everything's in my head. And what I've done, and I'm setting up the new thing, is I've laid it all out. So anybody can see when this happens, I got to do this. When that happens, I got to do that. And they don't have to make a decision. They don't have to use their judgment. They're using my judgment because I've written it down for them already. And then the supervision level goes, the trust goes up, the supervision goes down, more people are moving through the office. And then the next step is you not even being the one that says the hello or the goodbye or doing the policy or doing the procedure. And this is building on it. Maybe it's bringing in an associate and they get some equity buy-in over time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that's probably what I would see most commonly, so that you could get a few days off here and there. But depending on the exact stuff you're doing, you don't necessarily have to be in the office for all of it. Some you
Yeah.
do. I get that. Schedule that for the days you're there. Schedule other stuff for days you're gone. So your clinic is still open when you're gone. But again, it's all set up.
Mhm.
It's all set up ahead of time so people don't have to call you. It's all
Yeah.
about the policies and the procedures. It's all about writing it down.
100%, 100%. So let's make this real for someone listening. So say everything you just described hit a little too close to home, and they're realizing, yeah, that's me. All right. So forget the mindset shift for a second. What's the first, rather, mechanical change you'd make in the practice on Monday morning?
Yeah. Uh, so I used to do this differently. And
Mm-hmm.
and I used to be like, okay, what's your biggest money maker? We got to attack that first. That's where you're going to get your biggest bang for the buck. And it's too big to hang on to.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's just too much to work on all at once. So what and I just say that out loud because I don't want people to go start doing that. They're like, I'm just going to go fix this one thing. You got to start with something small. You got to go
Yeah.
in the office on Monday morning and decide that you're going to build a procedure or an SOP around the simplest thing that you do. It could be how to book an appointment. It could be how you want a room laid out. It could that's usually not written down anywhere. It's trained. You get a new person, they're showing how to do it, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's actually written down. And then the next time you do it, you don't sit there and type it all out on your computer. Just use your cell phone. Just hold it up here and record yourself. Or if it's a computer-based task, turn on Descript or Loom or one of those and record yourself doing it. If it's going and ordering us supplies, most people still order their own damn supplies. It drives me insane. Why are you doing that? You have people for that. Just sit down at the computer and say, okay, I'm going to this website and type it in. And then I go to this menu and then I click here. And then if we have 27 widgets left, I know I need to have at least a minimum of 30. So I'm going to order three, unless it's this time of the year because summer's coming and we do more of these procedures in the summer. So then my par level goes up. And you just verbal diarrhea as you're doing it. And then finish it and hand it off to anybody in your office, anyone you think that can do it, which should be anybody in your office, maybe really do it, and say,
Yeah.
go do this and don't look at it. Please don't look at it because every and ah and oh, I didn't mean that and I clicked and I went back here is going to drive you crazy and you're going to want to redo it. And that's not the point of this. The point of it is just to see if you can hand something off. Because once you hand it off, you tell them, hey, can you try this? Don't make assumptions. Go step by step. Go step by step. And if you get to the end without having to make an assumption, great. And if you have to make an assumption, come and ask me.
Mhm.
And then you fill in those blanks, and then you got your first SOP. And then you put it in your favorite AI tool, and it can transcribe it for you. Or other AI tools like I mentioned Descript, you could just dump it in there. If you're really worried about the ahs and the ums and the stuff, you could do some quick video editing if that's really important. But I say it's not. It's really not. The key is just to have it. And then you get this little dopamine hit in your brain. You're like, oh, I got this one little thing done. Then do another one, and then do another one, and then do another one. And then you start working your way up the ladder to the most complex things you do. You've already got 30, 40, 50 smaller things under your belt. I'm not going to say it's easy, but it becomes easier.
Mhm.
And then once you have all that done, then you can start evaluating your staff and yourself and deciding who you want doing what. So there's not you doing everything. Do you have any leaders? That's what you'll do on Tuesday. Monday, you'll do your first SOP. You'll get the dopamine hit and you'll probably do two or three more that day. That's usually the way it works. Then you'll hit a roadblock around Thursday because the next one will like you get some harder ones and you'll fail at it. And you're like, ah, see, I don't have time for this. Just give yourself a little bit of grace and go back and do it. But like Tuesday, start thinking about your leadership team. Who do I have here that like is really personable and be really great with clients and customers? And who is just naturally not salesy, but can like just have conversations with people. And then record yourself having the conversations with people as you're like talking them through different procedures that they want done and you don't think are a good idea or that you think are a good idea for them, all the variations. And then turn those into training videos. It could just be audio. You don't have to have a video going. Um, of course, disclose. You don't want to get into trouble by recording people without telling them. But for training purposes only, people understand and they don't mind, especially if there's no video involved.
Mhm.
And then now you got your core of your training. So then the next thing is like, okay, I'm gonna like now empower someone to go do this thing. Oh, and then they fail at it because you said listen to the video or the recording, then go do it. Because so many people, Angie, they practice until they get it right. And you really have to get people to role play. Oh, I know, I said it. And practice until they don't get it wrong.
Yeah.
And there's this much space between those two things. Because then it just becomes automatic and the pauses become automatic and the how to answer questions become automatic. By the way, you should never really answer questions. You should ask a question, right? That's sales training 101, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and you start building the list of FAQs and questions and training, and you start them with the easy stuff for people that are coming in for just like a little bit right here, and you before you know it, you have them training on the whole deal, right? It's just that practice, and they will fail, and
Mhm.
that's where the other people give up. They're like, "See, I told you I couldn't get anyone as good as me to do this. My business is going to suffer."
Mhm.
You just got to work harder at it. You put the time in to build your business this big. How come you can't put the time in to just make this little switch
Mhm.
and get the freedom you want
Yeah.
and get the
That's-
vacations you want and get the time off you want and get the time with your family that you want and
Yeah.
then get the growth that you want because you can't be in two places at once.
Mhm.
And if you get one dialed in and buttoned up, it's very simple to go do that in the second one. Okay, it's not that simple, but it's simpler. I could tell you if you go do it without doing this, all you're doing is scaling chaos. I've done this. It was a disaster. It cost me so much money, so much sleep, so much time. I've worked with so many people that have done it. Don't do it. Button up the first one first. That's how
All
you
right.
escape the operator trap.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting, Mike. So let's take a quick pause because what Mike just laid out is the exact wall most owners hit. They know they're the bottleneck, they just can't see the first move out. That's the whole point of the complimentary 60-minute strategy session from Equa Marketing. It's a one-on-one conversation designed to map out a realistic 12-month roadmap for attracting high value patients so growth stops depending on you working more hours. You can grab a time at businessofesthetics.org/MSM. All right, so back to Mike. Let's get into the part that honestly terrifies most people, stepping off the treatment floor. How do you actually build a team that can hold a revenue and patient volume when the founder isn't the one holding the syringe anymore?
I could think of a couple of paths forward there, and I'm sure there's hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
So first is deciding that that's a step they want to do. Some
Yeah.
people don't, and that's okay. I've worked with some owners that realize they don't want to grow.
Yeah.
They want to be in their business every day, and that's what gives them joy and happiness. And that's okay. So I just want to start with that. So not everyone's thinking, I'm broken. Why don't I want to change? That's totally fine. But for those that do, the first step is the awareness, and then the next step is asking this question. How do I find someone that's better than me at fill in the blank task? Because we always, I know you should never use the word always, but we always say, I can't find anyone as good as me to do this. I just can't. There's just no good people out there. And it's not true. The next thing I hear is, I've tried everything. I've tried everything and I can't find good people. I want you to sit down and list out what everything is because it usually involves like I posted an ad on Indeed and I asked my friends and I talked to this dude I met in a coffee shop. Like it's not a very long list. And because none of them produced anything and failure is hard for us. Yes, I use the F word. Uh, and it feels like it. We won't admit that to ourselves, but it feels like it. Therefore, we don't want to do it anymore. It's just basic human nature. We don't like to fail at things, especially as we get older and older. When we're kids, we fail at everything all the time. Can't even tie our shoes. We couldn't even walk initially. It's like you look at your kid and go, you're never going to be a walker. You're going to crawl for your whole life. Like, no, you like they eventually learn how to walk. They eventually learn how to tie their shoes. You eventually learn how to put your shirt on the right way around. Like it's just, and we're just, as kids, you're like, whatever. But as adults, we just hate it. So make the mindset shift of how can I find someone that's better at this than me? And then devise a process for doing that. Now, there's, again, I'm sure there's hundreds or thousands of processes, but if you're doing the same thing as everybody who's not doing it well, that's probably not going to work for you. And it's probably got to do with how you're attacking the problem. So if you like, I met a gentleman who I've actually met two people that have done this now. One's a dentist and one is not directly in aesthetics, but does it with surgery centers, doctors. And what they do is they'll build up a practice, put in all the SOPs, train all the sales scripting like I talked about, et cetera, trained all the technicians on how to do all the stuff, bring in one or more equity partners after it's already going, and then slowly get bought out over a number of years, 1 to 10 years, and then go down the street and not directly down the street, but start again from scratch because they're good at it
Yeah.
and rebuild. And these gentlemen, one of them owns part of, I think it's 6 dental offices. The other one owns part of 30 surgery centers, 5 to 10% of them. But 10% of 30 of them, pretty darn good versus 100% of one or 50% of one or two. You get the idea. So many of us try to find an employee. I'm going to find an employee, but the employee has no incentive to stay in this sort of role. How do you incentivize them to stay? It's usually through equity. It doesn't have to be the whole farm. You don't have to give away the whole business, but just something that makes them have the buy-in to want to be there.
Yeah.
So those are a couple of ideas I have in this area.
Okay, interesting. So let's say an owner does all of this. They build the systems, they build the team, they finally step back. There's one last piece nobody in aesthetic really talks about. Most aesthetic practices are basically unsellable because patients only came for the owner's hands and reputation. So, what has to happen for that loyalty to transfer from the owner to the practice itself? So, the business is actually worth something to a buyer.
Yeah, that's again, I want people to understand this is like a universal problem in business.
Yeah,
So
for
I
sure.
just and I say that because I don't want to undersell what's going on in aesthetics. I just want people to understand they're not alone, that this is a very common issue where like the owner is the business.
Yeah.
It's more so in this business because of, like you said, they want the owner's hand. So it's not bring someone in and start this plan that we talked about earlier and leave 10 minutes later or 10 months later. It's a multi-year exit strategy. And there's a few ways, again, that could be done. It could be bringing in the equity partner. It could be bringing in the incentivized individuals to do it. It could be just having your team so good, and this exists, where
Mhm.
you're literally just in a supervisory role. So if someone else comes in that can provide the supervisory role, uh, and then is setting up the marketing and the conversation with the patients, like you're coming to Angie's aesthetics clinic, you're not necessarily coming to see Angie.
Yeah.
It could be setting up your pricing. You want Angie? All right, that's 10 times as much, 5 times as much, 3 times as much. I don't know. But I have these wonderful technicians that have been trained by me. And I think technician is not the right word. I apologize. I'm not using the right language. Sasha trained me, and I have it's my brain today is not great. She gave me all the lingo, and here I am failing. But you have these awesome other practitioners that maybe are lower in the billing scale, but and some people are going to want Angie, but some people aren't. And then when their results are as good at maybe a lower price point, problem solved.
Yeah.
Also, if you get to the point where you can have more than one location, you'll sell at a higher multiple.
Hmm.
That's true in most businesses
Yeah.
because you don't have one single point of failure.
Interesting. That's really, really interesting. So that was a powerful look at the operator trap with Mike de Jong. And honestly, if you've been feeling like the bottleneck, like the practice only works when you're in the room, hopefully this conversation gave you a clearer framework for figuring out which type of leader you really are and what the first move forward looks like. Because building a practice that runs without you isn't some someday luxury. It's the difference between owning an asset and owning a person. And if Mike's approach resonated with you, I definitely recommend connecting with him and checking out his work at mikedejong.com, where he helps owners scale without sacrificing their time or peace of mind. So before we wrap up, if you're looking for more clarity around the digital side of your practice, Equa Marketing is offering our listeners a complimentary 60-minute strategy session. It's a one-on-one conversation designed to help you map out a realistic 12-month roadmap for attracting high-value patients. You can book a time at businessofesthetics.org/MSF. I'm Angie, and this has been the Business of Aesthetics podcast. Thanks for listening and keep on leading.